Welcome back to the IE427 garage, everyone. Today I am working on the rear bumper. So that's the bumper hoop and the overriders on Michael's Mk3. I'm not sure what else I'm going to get to today. I'm just kind of winging it right now. Could be anything. Could be the windshield. I'm waiting on some grommets for the front bumpers, so I know that that won't be happening today. But I may work on the front vents, and I think we're going to put a vent, the same type of vent material around the oil cooler opening, so I might work on that. But stay tuned, and we'll find out together. All right, music update, traffic, the legend of high heel boys. Where they come up with these titles. Working on the bumpers, at least the back bumper anyway. So this is what I do, and you can do it whatever way you like. But what I do first is I get the actual bumper in place. All right, and this is a Mk3. Keep that in mind. The way it bolts together may be different for your Mk4 or whatever car you're working on. So the top bolts are going to come in from the inside of the car out. No doubt about it. Because of the way the gas tank is situated and everything else. So I've got those in, and I've just got them held on with a couple of nuts and washers right now. I have not installed the bumpers, which are the overriders right there. Then what I did is I went and I cut some pieces of all thread. So I've got 2 pieces of 7/16 all thread. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to double nut one end of them. I'm going to send them in from the outside in with all the sleeves, washers, and everything else in place. And then I'm going to put a nylon lock nut on the inside underneath the body. And that, once it's in place, will allow me to thread the other end of it into the actual bumperette or overrider, because the inside of the overriders have threads. I don't know if you can see those threads cut in there. So they have to go in that way. So that's what I'm working on right now. I will bring you back when I'm a little farther along. All right, bumpers in. Music update, Leonard Skinnard. Southern man. I still have to tighten up the bottom bolts. So the ones that go in the bottom of the bumperettes need to be tightened. But I'm going to raise the lift up to do that. So each of the top bolts were not hard to get to. I have a swivel extension that I brought in through the access cover on the fuel pump. And so I was able to get into this bolt with that. And on this one I showed you a little bit earlier, I have a hole in the drop trunk mod that allows that bolt to go in and be tightened. So the bumper's on. It's looking nice. Let me see if I can lower down the trunk. And everything is looking just sweet. All right, music update. The who are you? I have got the bottom bolts for the bumpers all finished. Now, if you remember, both the bottom bolts are pieces of all thread. And it's difficult to describe how to put it together. Basically, you put the top in first, and then you kind of slide everything in on the bottom, and then you have to nylon lock nut the bottom on the inside. So that involves double nutting the all thread on the outside before you install it, and it's perhaps one day when I have more patience I will walk you guys through that, but it's done. So if we look up inside here, you can see right there there is a nylon lock nut on the back of the bumper mount, which is right here. And so that all thread goes through the tube here, and then it threads into the threaded portion of the bumperette or the overrider, depending on how you refer to them as. So I'm calling the back bumper done, and I went upstairs and I grabbed a couple of things. I grabbed the dash mounted rear view mirror, and I also grabbed these pieces of mesh, which are going to go into the openings in the front of the car. So we're going to have one in there, and we're going to have one over here. And then I have a piece of the same material here that's actually the home centers sell this as gutter guard. So this actually has little clips on it, so you can clip this onto your rain gutters, but it's the exact same material. So I think for a pack of 4 of these, it's like $12, something like that. So we're also going to cut a piece that's going to go into the oil cooler opening and close off that right there. And then that's about as far as we can go on the front until we receive our grommets for the front right here. If by some chance Miller gets the hardtop finished before these come in, he usually has a couple of these in stock, and so I'll grab some from him and then mail him the ones that that I'm getting, and we'll see how that pans out. But in the meantime, I'm waiting for those pieces, so that kind of messes up the front, and then I can't install the bumper. And so since I can't install the bumper, I can't install our one-piece surround that goes in here for the radiator either. And it just, it kind of snowballs. So then it's like, well, why bother pulling off the front wheels? Because I can do all that stuff at once. I can put in the if I had the wheels off, I could put in the pool noodles that are going to go, you know, right in here in the body. They're gonna go in right behind the doors or right in front of the doors to seal off the cockpit from all the hot air. Those have to go in before the side vents go in right here, and then those side vents have to go in before the front rear splash shields. Does that make sense? Front rear, they're for the front wheels, but they go to the rear of the wheels, so those go in back here. So everything, like I said before, everything has to go in a particular order. Otherwise, you're continually taking stuff apart after you've just put it together, and I choose not to do that. So what I may do is I may skip all that stuff for now, and then I may jump on getting the windshield mounted. And that's why I pulled the rear view mirror that mounts on the dash down, because I like to mount that before I mount the windshield. So we'll see. We'll just have to see what I decide to do next. Alrighty, Doobie Brothers, China Grove. The what are we calling these? Screen. The mesh that go in the front air intakes and the oil cooler are just rest in place, kinda. The ones on the brake duct scoops or brake duct intakes are actually held in place, but they're held in place with the 2 bolts here. So I had to loosen these bolts and then maneuver the screen back in between the body and the frame horn on the end of the chassis. And so you can see it still moves. So what I'm going to do is these will actually get silicone sealant to hold them in. What I'll do is around the outside, not on the paint, but on the inside of the body, but around the outside of the screen, I'll embed clear silicone, and then I'll use something to push against the back of this with a block. So I'll put a block in behind here I don't see my hand. I'll put a block in here to hold this flush, and then that will embed it into the silicone, and once the silicone dries, I'll pull the block off and that'll hold it in place. The oil cooler scoop, all I did was I cut the material down and I bent 90-degree bends on each side of it, and it will just get siliconed in top and bottom. See if I can get that back in there. And same thing, I'll just put a block behind it to hold it in place until the silicone sets up, and then that'll be it. It'll just stay like that. But you can see that material looks just like the material that Factory 5 supplies for the brake duct scoops. Over on the other side, it's the same thing. We'll hold that in place. Silicone will hold it in place. After the silicone dries, we'll remove the blocking and what have you, and it'll all be fine. So I'm going to get working on getting the front wheels off, as much as I hate to do it. And I'm going to get those in place. Since I've still got to do the windshield, it doesn't make sense to put the pool noodle in between the body and the chassis yet. So I'll wait until I'm putting in the side louvers, and then that's when I'll install the pool noodle. After I do the, after I finish up the screens on the front of the car, I may lower the car down and see if I can get that rear view mirror put in place. I'm a little leery right now. I like to wait until the end to put the door cards on, because they mount with adhesive backed Velcro, and I'd like to give the paint as much chance to set, dry, whatever, until I throw those on. So that'll probably be one of the last things that I do. Oh, Rockin' the Casbah by The Clash. It's okay. Not my favorite song. Don't judge me. I've done this enough times that how do you say this? That I can get away with this. You've got to be really careful, as I've said, around the painted surface. These blocks that I've got holding everything in are just firm enough that they're keeping the mesh in place without scratching the body. So if you look there, I drilled a hole through that outer block so that the screw will not bind on it as it goes in. Same thing with those two there and the one over there. The back side of them is not pre-drilled. And so this is just some cedar that I had out behind the shop. And it allows that mesh to be held in place while the silicone has a chance to dry. Oh, that's gonna suck. Let me grab another light. So I've just put silicone around the outside wherever I can get the clear silicone right now. And after the blocks come out, then I'll go back and I'll finish the silicone at the bottom and at the top and around to the other side. Same thing on the mesh that's at the oil cooler opening. I've just got it in the places where I can get it. I may just leave it on the oil cooler because there's a lot of places for the silicone to adhere to, and so it's not as critical. And the body really doesn't move in that position. The body has a tendency to shift a little bit at these mounts over time, and so I like to get as much sealant around those as I possibly can. But on the oil cooler, I'm not as concerned about it. So we'll see. When I pull off the blocks, if I think that it'll be fine the way it is, I'll leave it. And if not, I can always just add a little bit more sealant, and then it'll be all good to go. Carry On, My Wayward Son by Kansas. Another great song. Just about got this wrapped up, or I've got it wrapped up. I mean, I'm probably going to stop here where I'm at for tonight, and then anyways, let me show you what I've got going on. So all the front mesh is in, and secure. So, for instance, when you touch it now, it doesn't move. Same thing here in the nose. It's all secured. And I'll see if I can sneak in from the back here and get a view of it. Let's see. Okay. So you can see the mesh in here and the two 90-degree angles I bent on it. I'm not too concerned about the corners because this is all hidden. You can't see it underneath everything anyway. And then let me take you around to the passenger side. And you can see the silicone is all set up on the sides. I just put a little bit on the top and a little bit on the bottom. That's where you see some color variation. But that's all secure and in where it needs to be. I've still got to wrap up the wires for the turn signals and the headlights, so I'll probably do that tonight before I go in for supper. And then over on the driver's side, it's the same exercise over here. The silicone is all set up on the sides, and then I've added some at the top and the bottom where we had our pieces of strapping holding everything in overnight. So it gave that all a chance to set up and harden, and now it's good and secure in there. So that is going to do it for this one. I'm just going to keep plugging along at all this stuff. I just got off the phone with Miller, and he's working on the hardtop. We should have that back in about a week or so, and I'll go pick that thing up. Hopefully I'll have the rest of Michael's car pretty much ready to go by then, but you know, we'll see. I'm working on getting some door check straps. I'm robbing Peter to pay Paul, but I've got to get these. I've got a set right here, and I'm gonna dye those black so they blend in. And I don't know if you guys have ever heard of vinegaroon. Basically, it's a mixture of distilled white vinegar, and then you put steel wool in the vinegar, and the vinegar reacts with the steel wool, and it makes this, it's kind of like a clear liquid. Obviously the white distilled vinegar is clear, but the reaction between the steel in the steel wool and the vinegar will cause the leather to turn black. And it's not like, you know, like shoe dye. You know, like the paste dye that you stain shoes with, because it doesn't rub off. The vinegaroon actually goes into the tannin of the leather, and it changes the color of that, and so therefore it doesn't come off on your clothing. So a lot of times on the Simpson 5-point harnesses, they have those pieces of leather that are the same color tan as the door check straps, and we'll go ahead and we'll dye those as well with that vinegaroon solution. And it's pretty cool. I mean, you just brush that stuff on and it immediately turns color. And then I usually go back and because it's kind of like an acid, you go back and you neutralize it with a solution of baking soda and water. It's a very diluted solution, but then you brush that on, and it keeps the solution that you put on there, the vinegar and solution, from continuing to do its thing. It just kind of neutralizes it. But so I want to stain those before I put those on Michael's car. I actually have a set that one of a car owner who we did a car for a number of years ago has a set that I had given him that were an excess pair that I had here at the shop, and he is going to be sending or bringing those back to me, his original ones that are unstained or unused. And so I'm taking these, shouldn't do that. I'm taking these that I have here for the 25th anniversary car. I'm going to stain those. I'm going to use them on Michael's car, and then I'll replace the ones that I've just stolen from the 25th anniversary car and replenish those in the box from that car. But so that's where we're at for today. As always, I want to thank you guys for watching. If you're enjoying the content, please do the like, the share, the subscribe, and all that good stuff. We will see you all next time. Have a great day.